since it's such a glorious day, I'm making the most of it and I'm filming outside. Today I'm talking about accessory work. You've probably heard it mentioned among powerlifters. People talk about doing their accessory work and wondered, what do you want about? Basically, as powerlifters, our aim is to be as strong as possible. We're trying to lift the biggest weights and make it the most efficient movement we can. So moving the most weight from the shortest distance in a straight line, ideally, because a straight line is the shortest distance instead of a wibbly wobbly one, which is why we look at bar paths quite consistently. But as powerlifters, we are prone to neglect doing what I would call bodybuilding work. In a lift, there are a lot of things working together. Say the deadlift, you've got your calves, your feet, your hamstrings, your quads a little bit, your glutes, your spinal erectors, your lats, your traps, your core, and maybe even a little bit of shoulders, rear delts, all of that. So in one lift, there's a lot of muscles working. And what if we have a weak point in that lift? Say our spinal erectors aren't able to keep our spine straight, or our core isn't able to keep us solid, or our hamstrings just can't quite generate the right amount of force. What then? Heavy lifting isn't going to help that. Obviously, training the movement will give high specificity. For those who don't know, specificity is how specific a movement is to your sport. So in powerlifting, your squat, your bench, your deadlift, they're highly specific because that's what we compete in. So what do? When we have a weak point, we need to address it. And we need to do what the bodybuilders do, which is hypertrophy work. So after your long, heavy session, or maybe on a separate session, depending on how you split your programming, aim to do some hypertrophy work specific to your weak points or whatever you're training that specific day. One thing I've noticed over the years is how bodybuilders are generally very, very strong because they train to work the muscle at its physical hardest. They make that muscle work for them, so they'll do things in high rep ranges. When they bench, they go flat, and they come all the way down and up again. They don't arch, and they don't incorporate other muscles. So they target that muscle directly, which makes it stronger. Hypertrophy work will fill the muscle with blood. It'll tear muscle fibers, that's how muscles are built, which will cause inflammation, lactic acid buildup, etc., etc., which will make that muscle grow, and it will make it work harder, which in the end will make it more efficient and more effective because the muscle's bigger. And a bigger muscle means more power, in theory, generally. Although, I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of different studies about different types of muscle fibers and how different ones interact and size. And I don't know enough about it. I'm very sorry. Maybe I'll do a blog on it and do a hell of a lot of research. So when you do your accessory work, so what I would do normally is on a Monday I would do a paused bench session for me because that is addressing a weak point in itself. And then I would do a load of I do loads of heavy sets and work really hard. And then I would focus on my accessory work. So I do a feet up bench, so I'm lying on my back with my feet up and a slightly wider grip to really target the chest. I do flies, I do an incline press, and then I'll do tricep work to really work the triceps because they're important in the pressing movement. And on another bench day, I do some back accessory and some delt accessory work. On my deadlift days, I do some hamstring accessory, I do back accessory work. So I'll do hamstring curls, deficit, Romanians, shrugs, and lat pull downs. So I really work those important muscle groups. And on squats, I do a load of quad specific movement, and I incorporate some hamstring work because A, my hamstrings are a big weak point, so I train them a little bit more, and B, hamstrings are important in the squat. So you need to work hard on these sets. You don't have to be in there for hours and hours and hours because you don't need long rest. Short rest periods, high rep ranges with the challenging weight that makes you work hard. You've got to think about this as being as important as your heaviest lifts. So when you're going for 3 reps on your deadlift and you feel yourself grinding out a few reps, cool, that's good. That's what you need on your accessory work. You need to make it as important as your heavy work because in the end, this is what's going to help you get stronger. It's going to fill out weak points. It's going to tighten up all the weak spots and hopefully reduce leakages of power to make you more effective under the bar. It's going to make you more effective. It's also going to make you look really good. I mean, you're going to look jacked, which is really cool, as well as not having weak points where you're going to leak power. It's a win-win. You're going to look great, you're going to be strong as hell. So do not neglect your accessory work. It is hugely important. I've actually written a whole blog on different programs across the world. I've hugely gone into the most prominent ones, which are ones in America, and the ones in Eastern Europe. So I've gone over the squat every day, I've done the West Side barbell, I've talked about loads. I will put a link in the description below. If you're really interested, have a read. It's a really in-depth, fascinating article. I personally really enjoyed writing it, although my brain felt like mush afterwards. Check it out. If you've got anything you want to mention in the comments, say what's your favourite accessory work, drop it in there. Let me know. If you've got any suggestions about videos you'd like to see, drop it in the comments. Or just tell me if you like this video and what you'd like to see more of. Except for barefoot stuff, I don't have a lot to say about that. Really sorry. If you like what I'm doing, like the video, give me a subscribe. Always appreciate the support. And until next time, guys, stay strong.